Hi everybody and welcome to FABEDhacks. I'm Rosemary, and in today's video I have some high-end Dollar Tree fall decor. There's a lot to see, so let's go ahead and get started. For my first DIY, I'm going to be making a candle plate on a pedestal. And to make it, I'm going to be using this pie pan from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to just give it a quick distressed galvanized finish. Now, how I'm going to do that is just by using a little gray craft paint. And the applicator I'm using is a piece of a plastic bag, regular plastic shopping bag. And so first I'll just go over with a darker shade gray, and then I'll go back with a lighter shade gray. And as you can see, it does do a pretty nice job of giving you a nice distressed galvanized finish. To create the stand, I'm going to be using a margarita glass from the Dollar Tree as well as a Dollar Tree votive holder. And I'm going to just E6000 the two pieces together. And then I'm going to use some of this spackle paint in a combination of 1/3 spackle to 2/3 of just regular craft paint. And then I'll mix it up till it's nice and smooth. And then before painting, I will prep the surface with some vinegar, just wiping it down, and then go ahead and apply the paint. While the stand is drying, I'm going to go ahead and create a little floral ring for my candle using these berry mix stems that I got from Walmart. And I'm going to just go all the way around the foam, putting the little cuttings of the sprigs in, and then I'm going to just glue that right to the bottom of my tray. And I'll just put on a candle to make sure that it holds in place. Also, I wanted to point out that Aldi has those Huntington House candles in stock now in all the fall scents. And I don't know about you guys, but I think they're just as good as the high-end brands, and they're only $3.99. So let me know down in the comments if you've tried those and what you think. I think they're just as good, and they save you a boatload of cash. Plus, I'm going to actually use the lid in this craft and add some glue to the top of the foam, and then just place the lid on top of that, and then that'll create a nice level surface for my candle to sit on. Now here is my pedestal after it's been painted. Now I did paint this 3 times with that paint, but you can see where it creates a really great stand. And then I'll just put a little E6000 glue on the top of the pedestal and add my pie pan. And then here you can see the finished project. I did go ahead and add some berries to give it an extra fall festive touch. Now I wanted to tell you that I did get the inspiration for this project from a decor piece I saw in a video from a fellow creator here on YouTube. Her name is Amy Fritz. She has a lifestyles and decorating channel and the most amazing taste. So I'll leave a link to her channel down below. And if you are looking for some decorating inspo, definitely check her out. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using one of these Dollar Tree signs, as well as some of these puffy stickers. I believe I purchased both of those at Walmart. And using my ruler, I'm just going to mark off at 5.5 inches, a couple of lines down, just so I can make a nice straight line down the middle. And then I'm going to use my ruler to measure 2.5 inches from the top of the sign, and then draw a line horizontally at 2.5 inches. And then from the bottom, I'm going to measure 2 inches. And again, make a couple of lines and then a nice straight line across, creating that bottom line for my sign. Then I'm going to start applying my stickers. I'm going to be putting Farm Fresh at the top. And so I will start the F on the other side, on the right hand side of that middle line. And I'll just kind of adjust things as I go. And then I will begin with the M and working backwards again from that center line. And then I'll switch over to my other stickers to put the word pumpkins now on the second line, starting that same way. Kind of the middle of the word will have on the right hand side of that middle line, and then the first part of the word will be on the left hand side. Then I'm going to use some metallic copper spray to spray my sign and my little pumpkin cutout. And here's what it looks like when it's all sprayed. I did leave the pumpkin separate, and I do want to actually add a second pumpkin to the back because I want it to pop a little more. Next, I'm going to use some of this brushed metal gold paint to do the highlighting on the lettering. And I'm going to just go with the paint on a thin brush and just kind of highlight all the letters, just painting on top. And I'll do that for both the Farm Fresh and the pumpkins down at the bottom. For the pumpkin cutout, I'm going to use some copper as well as some bronze metallic spray paint. And with the bronze, I'm going to just do the little stem at the top as well as the edging all around, and then also to create some of the lines on the interior of the pumpkin. Then I'm going to go back with the gold and highlight each one of the pumpkin sections. Then I'll go back with the copper colored paint and create a little more definition in each one of the sections. Once my pumpkin's done, I'll just glue it in place in the center of the sign. At this point, you could just leave the sign as is and just use the little hanger that came with it to hang it up, but I'm going to actually go ahead and create a little Jenga block border. So I'm just going to use some of my Titebond glue, but you could use wood glue here, that would work just as well. And I'm going to just put the little Jenga box lined up all the way around. And then here is the finished project. I just loved these signs when I saw them in the stores. I thought they created such a great high-end look and make such a great addition to your fall decor. Here is another store-inspired sign, this time from Kirkland's, and I'm going to be using one of these Dollar Tree Thankful and Blessed pumpkins. I'm going to remove the glitter from the front, and on the back side I'm going to attach a piece of this Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper. Now I'll just kind of place it on the back there, flip it back around, and then I'm going to trace out the shape on the white side so I can see it better. Then just go ahead and cut it out. And then I'm going to Mod Podge that to the back of my sign. And then once I have a thin, even coat of the Mod Podge, I'm going to go ahead and apply my cutout and just kind of press it down. You can also use a gift card or credit card and just kind of go over and smooth to make sure you don't get any bumping and welting. And then once that first coat of Mod Podge has completely dried, I'm going to go ahead and add a top coat. To paint the stem, I'm going to go ahead and use some brown chalk paint. I'm going to paint all over the top of the stem and then also create the little jagged edges there at the bottom. And then I'll also go around the entirety of the pumpkin with some black chalk paint and just kind of doing the edges. And then also use the black chalk paint to give a little definition to the stem. Next, I'm going to take this Dollar Tree metal cutout and paint it orange, and then once that's dry, I'll go ahead and glue that to the front of my pumpkin. And then I'll just finish it off with a pretty little raffia bow. And then here you can see the finished project. I have it pictured here with my pool noodle pumpkins. If you're interested in seeing those are from a previous DIY. I will link them here and in the description box. For my next DIY, I will be using 2 of the Dollar Tree shadow boxes, one small and one large, as well as these 2 adorable pumpkins that I got from Party City and just some regular printer paper. First, I'm going to start with the printer paper and I'm going to kind of just measure out and cut a piece about the size of each of the boxes and then just kind of tear around the edges. Next, I'm going to cut out the image from my napkin, and so I only need one of the panels, and it kind of has like 4 images on it, so I'm just going to kind of open it up just to get that one panel, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing as I did with the paper and just kind of tear off all around the edges to give it that jagged edge. To make sure that the print and images from the original shadow box don't bleed through to my final image, I want to go ahead and use some white craft paint and just paint over the area where the image and print are. Once my paint is dry, I'm going to just go ahead with some Mod Podge and paint the surface. Now this time I am not going to do a thin, even layer. I do want a kind of goppy and wet layer, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to gop on some more Mod Podge to the top. So this project is for all those folks who cannot stand Mod Podge because it always welts and buckles no matter how hard you try, or different tips that you use, this you actually want it to welt and wrinkle. So I'm going to go ahead then and just put the piece of napkin on top, and you can see, because it is so wet and so gloppy, that it is right away welting up. But that is actually the effect I'm going for. I actually saw the inspiration piece in Michael's, and it was like this. It was just this welted, wrinkled effect on the finished product, and I thought this is just perfect for all the folks who just cannot stand to work with Mod Podge because they do have such trouble with it, with the wrinkling and the welting and the bubbling, and in this case it's what we want. And then here is the finished project. You can see how cute it dries, and you can also see how that welting and wrinkling just adds to the effect. And here I just placed them with some pumpkins and leaves on this decorative ladder, all of which will be featured in my upcoming porch decor video. For the last DIY, I want to make a little wooden caddy, and I'm going to do that with 2 of these shadow boxes from the Dollar Tree. Now these 2 are from last Christmas, but any 2 will do. And then I'm going to just take some wood glue, or my favorite here, the Type Bond glue, and place some glue in between 2 of the pieces and then clamp those 2 together. And I'll set those aside to dry. I'm also going to be using 2 of these Dollar Tree wood paddles, as well as 2 packs of the large paint sticks from Lowe's. And then I'll also need my little miter box and Dollar Tree saw. And all I'm going to do is take my paint sticks, and I'm going to actually measure those on the box. These boxes are all different sizes, so I can't really give like a size that I need it to cut. I'm just going to go ahead and lay the stick alongside where I want the piece, and then mark it off, and then just use my miter box and saw to cut. And then I'll just go back with some of my Type Bond glue and add the 2 short pieces first, and then I'll take another paint stick and again measure out where I need to cut by placing it right on the box, and then just mark that spot and cut it with my miter saw. And then I'll go ahead and glue on my 2 long pieces and set the whole thing aside to dry. Once all the glue has dried on the bottom piece, I'm going to go ahead and attach the paddles to each side. And I'm going to just do that with some, again, of my Type Bond glue, and just put it right there on the paddles, and then I'm going to line them up and attach the 2 sides. Then I'm going to put a heavy object, this paint can, on one side. I'm going to use a bottle of Mod Podge on the other in order to hold the 2 paddles in place while they dry. And while that glue is setting up, I'll go ahead and cut 4 more pieces of both my long and short sides. Next, I'll take one of my short pieces. I'm going to add some glue there to the bottom. I'm also going to add a little glue there to the side of the paddle. And then I'll place that piece right on top, fit it right in there. Make sure I get any of that excess glue off. And then I'll proceed to do the another piece on top of that, another short piece on top of that. So I should have 3 short pieces on each side, and I'll go ahead and do that on the other side as well. And then once that glue has dried on the sides, I'm going to go ahead and start applying my long side pieces. Again, just adding some of my Type Bond glue to the bottom or top there in between, let's put it that way, in between the 2 pieces, and then also some glue there on the sides. And I'll just do another 2 pieces to the front and another 2 pieces to the back, again just holding them in place with something heavy until that glue sets up. For the handle, I'm going to use one of these Dollar Tree skewers. Now I just cut the piece down. I couldn't use the dowel because it was a little bit short, but the skewer worked out just fine. And I'm going to then take some of these beads that I've had on hand for like forever and finally use them. And I'm just going to thread the beads onto the dowel or to the cut piece of skewer. And then I'm going to add some glue to the holes in the paddle. And then I'll place one end of the skewer through the one hole. Then I kind of have to push the skewer all the way in so that the beads will fit. And then the skewer kind of pops out the other end. Then I line the beads up and then I push the skewer back through so that it's holding on both ends of the poles. And then I'm again going to set everything aside to dry. And this is what it looks like when it's finished. I wanted to show you what it looked like in the natural color. It looks kind of cute like that, but I did want to give it a kind of fall color. So I'm going to take some of this terracotta paint that is just regular terracotta colored craft paint, and I'm going to thin it down probably by almost half because I just want to create a stain for the wood, and I don't want to necessarily paint it terracotta, just want to kind of give it a nice stain. So it's very liquefied craft paint, and you can see where it's just kind of staining the paint and leaving the wood grain. And I'm going to do that all over the box, including the beads and the little paddles on the side. And then here's what it looks like after I've painted the stain all over the box. And then I want to go back with some white chalk paint on a dry brush and just give it a little dry brush finish as well. Then I'm going to take some burnt umber and also some black craft paint and just do a little edging around the edges and the corners and in between, just to give it a little further distressed look. I want to fill my little caddy with some pumpkins, and so what I'm going to do is take these Dollar Tree pumpkins and I'm going to remove the little flowers and beading, and I want to create that look that you see so often now at Kirkland's and Hobby Lobby, that kind of multicolored look. And all I'm going to do is take my little Dollar Tree pumpkin and do a little dry brush white chalk paint over the top. For the stem, I'm going to use a piece of rolled up corn husk that I've painted brown. And then I'm going to fill my caddy with some of this garland that I got from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to kind of just have some pieces stick up and hang over the edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my pumpkins and fill those in on top. And then here you can see the finished project is so cute and festive. A great little rustic caddy to bring just that perfect farmhouse touch and a great cozy feel to your home for the fall season. Well, that's it for now, but please leave me a comment and let me know which one was your favorite. Also, please remember to give a thumbs up and please share with any family and friends you think would also enjoy this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on FABEDhacks, where we're putting the extra and ordinary one DIY at a time.